The Middle East on the brink this morning. The Israelis have been firing hundreds more rockets into Gaza in the past couple of hours, with Hamas firing back, and a decision about a ground invasion could come this weekend. We have team coverage this morning. ABC's Christiane Amanpour is in Jerusalem, but we're going to start with ABC's Alex Marquardt, who's in Gaza. Alex, good morning.
Hey there, Dan. All morning we have seen and heard these Israeli warplanes as they continue to pound this narrow enclave. There have been some 200 strikes here since midnight. Overnight, some of Hamas's most important buildings have been targeted, and everyone here is wondering whether this aerial campaign will soon become a ground invasion.
This is life in Gaza these days. A relentless stream of booms and whooshes as Israeli missiles land and militant rockets are launched. In Israeli crosshairs overnight, Hamas's seat of power, the government headquarters, blown up. Another Hamas building targeted from the sea. All reduced to rubble. In Israel on Friday, sirens in Jerusalem as the sacred city was targeted for the first time in more than 40 years. A rocket fell 10 miles short. No one was hurt. 2 days in a row, residents of Tel Aviv, the commercial center, ran for cover as sirens sounded.
I'm stressed also, but life is continuing, and I will not let no Hamas or other people in Gaza to interrupt my way of life.
3 Israelis and almost 40 Palestinians have been killed in the past 4 days, around half of them civilians. We saw the wounded rush to Gaza's biggest hospital, its intensive care unit filled with what doctors say are just civilians.
Are you able to cope if this escalation continues?
If continue, we can't. Of course we can't.
It looks set to continue, with columns of Israeli tanks and troops massing along the border with Gaza, fueling fears here of a ground war.
The Israeli army has called up 20,000 reservists. It's clear that Israel is preparing for a drawn-out conflict. Local authorities have been told to be ready for 7 weeks of fighting. Dan?
7 weeks, Alex. Thank you. Let's go now to Jerusalem. Coming under fire for the first time, ABC's global affairs anchor, Christiane Amanpour, is there. Christiane, I've been in Israel during times of war, and often the mood is less panic and more grim determination. How would you describe what you're hearing and seeing from people there this morning?
Well, certainly what we're seeing obviously is some anxiety, but I think grim determination as well, not just here in Jerusalem, but in Tel Aviv as well. We also were in the old city of Jerusalem, and it is bustling there. Nobody there seems to be too afraid. There are a lot of tourists out, there are a lot of local people out, and so that seems to be going on and proceeding as normal. But look, what's happening is that the equation has somewhat changed. Now, when the Israelis hit Gaza, the Hamas have decided that they're going to hit their long-range missiles, and for the first time this week, they have targeted Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Fortunately, no casualties, but this is a different and new element to this kind of tit-for-tat that's been going on between the two sides.
You know, the New York Times is reporting this morning that the White House is worried about an Israeli ground invasion, perhaps playing into the hands of Hamas, the militants who run the government there. Are the Israelis worried about that?
I think if you talk to the Israelis, they say we are going to do what we have to do. It is our right. We have to defend against these rockets falling in and injuring our people. But I think underlying, there is obviously a concern about if they do go in by on the ground, then how will that end and what will that mean and what will be the backfire, if you like, the blowback on Israel. Of course, the United States is concerned because it has relations with Israel, but also with the other Arab nations in this part of the world. And this is a new Middle East. This is the first such Israeli-Palestinian conflict since the Arab Spring, and the Arab leaders are much more standing shoulder to shoulder with Hamas than they did ever before in these kinds of instances. And also, if there is a ground invasion, first and foremost on everybody's mind is what happens if there are civilian casualties, and not just civilian casualties, but unacceptable numbers of civilian casualties. And that has the potential to really destabilize this part of the world, destabilize Israel's relations with its only two friends here, which are Egypt and Jordan.
As you said, it's a new Middle East, a genuine tinderbox. Christiane Amanpour, we're so happy to have you there reporting. Thank you.